Friends, the biggest gap in the world isn't between the rich and the poor, but between hunger and dreams. Today's story is about a boy who didn't have a school bag or shoes and barely managed to get 2 meals a day. Yet, he forced India's greatest mathematics professor to his knees. A question that took the teacher 20 years to solve, a question she declared she couldn't solve, was solved by Suraj, a rag picker, in just 1 minute. Let's see how he did it. The morning sun hadn't even fully risen when the gates of the city's most famous and expensive Aryabhata International School began to bustle with activity. This school was for the children of the wealthy, where admission was based more on money than talent. Big cars were stopping, and children were getting out of air-conditioned vehicles. Their clothes were sparkling. There wasn't a single speck of dust on their shoes. But away from all this glitz and glamour, just outside the school wall, near a pile of garbage, stood a 12-year-old boy. His name was Suraj. Suraj's appearance was such that people would make faces when they saw him. His clothes were dirty, the buttons on his shirt were broken, and he wore mismatched flip-flops, which he had probably found in a garbage can. A large plastic sack hung over his shoulder. But if you looked closely into Suraj's eyes, you wouldn't see hunger, but a strange sparkle. Suraj collected garbage, but his attention was less on the plastic bottles and more on the sounds coming from inside the school. He saw geometric shapes in the garbage cans. He saw mathematical patterns in the license plates of the cars. He had never been to school, but God had given him a mind that worked faster than a calculator. Today, the atmosphere in the school was different. There was a complete silence in the 12th grade classroom. Professor Digvijay Singh entered the class. Professor Digvijay was considered the city's strictest math teacher. It was said that his questions not only made the students sweat, but also scared them to death. Professor Digvijay seemed very angry today. He slammed the duster he was holding onto the table. "Dust!" he shouted. "Your brains are full of dust. Do you think your father's money will get you through? Mathematics isn't a vegetable you can buy in the market with money. It demands hard work." The whole class was terrified. Professor Digvijay picked up a piece of chalk and turned to the blackboard. He began writing a question on the board. This was no ordinary question. It was a complex problem involving Fermat's last theorem and quantum mathematics. A question that would make even seasoned professors tremble. The board filled with strange symbols and numbers. He continued writing for 10 minutes. When he turned around, there was a challenge in his eyes. "This question," he said in a heavy voice, "I spent 15 years of my youth trying to solve it. It remains unsolved to this day. I have named it the impossible equation. I challenge you rich kids. You have the internet, tutors, books from all over the world. If anyone can find the correct answer by tomorrow morning, I will quit my teaching job and give that student my gold watch as a reward." The class topper, a boy named Vikram, adjusted his glasses, looked at the question, and mentally gave up. This question wasn't just outside the syllabus, it was outside the world. The bell rang, and the professor stomped out angrily. The students also left, muttering. "The old man is crazy," Vikram said to his friend. "No human being can solve this question." But no one noticed that outside the classroom window, clinging to the iron bars, stood Suraj. His blackened fingers gripped the bars tightly. His eyes were fixed on the question written on the board. He didn't find the question frightening. He found it beautiful, like a poem. The numbers began dancing in his mind. He felt as if the question was talking to him, calling out to him. Suraj stood there until the peon chased him away with a stick. "Get out of here, beggar! You're making the school dirty!" the peon shouted. Suraj ran away, but his mind was still stuck in the classroom. Friends, what happened next in the story? Before you find out, if you enjoy listening to such heartwarming stories, subscribe to our channel now so you don't miss any new stories. It was night. The city was asleep, but there was no sleep in Suraj's slum. His alcoholic father was snoring, and his mother was ill. There was nothing to eat in the house. Suraj's stomach was rumbling with hunger. But today, he was more troubled by that question than by hunger. That question wouldn't let him sleep. Those symbols kept flashing in his mind. At 2 a.m., when he couldn't bear it anymore, Suraj got up. He felt that if he could solve that question, perhaps the turmoil in his mind would subside. He quietly slipped out of his hut and ran towards the school. The back gate of the school was broken, the same gate he often used to sneak in to collect plastic.
Today, he wasn't going to collect plastic, he was going to learn something. The school corridors were shrouded in darkness. The guard was sleeping at the front gate. Suraj, like a shadow, reached the classroom window. The window was open. He jumped inside. The classroom was pitch dark. Only a faint light from the street lamp outside was coming in, falling directly on the blackboard. The question was still written on the board, like a ghost standing there with its mouth open. Suraj slowly moved forward. His legs were trembling. He wasn't afraid of being caught, the fear was, would he be able to do it? He picked up a piece of chalk from the teacher's desk. The chalk looked strange in his rough, dirty hands. He started writing. The sound of the chalk echoed in the silence. At first, he was slow, but as the problem unfolded, his speed increased. Suraj forgot that he was hungry. He forgot that he was a rag picker. At that moment, he was simply a mathematician. All the locks of the universe were opening in his mind. He had found the solution that Professor Digvijay hadn't found in 15 years. Sweaty and covered in dust, Suraj wrote continuously for 3 hours. The entire board was filled, and finally, he drew a box and wrote the answer, 0. Such a huge storm, and the answer was just 0. Suraj stepped back. He looked at the board, and a smile appeared on his face that he probably wouldn't even get after a full meal. He put down the chalk, jumped out the window, and disappeared back into the darkness of the night, towards his world of garbage heaps. The next morning at 8 a.m., Professor Digvijay entered the classroom. His mood was even worse than the previous day. "Well, did anyone try?" he asked sarcastically. The entire class was silent. Vikram stood up. "Sir, we checked on Google too. This question isn't anywhere. It's a wrong question." The professor was about to laugh when his eyes fell on the board. His hand began to tremble. He slowly, as if under a spell, moved towards the board. The students in the class were astonished. "Sir, what are you looking at?" The professor went very close to the board. He took off his glasses, wiped them, and put them back on. Step 4, this method. "Oh my God, step 12, he's even changed time here." The professor was muttering. Tears of disbelief welled up in his eyes. This is impossible. This is absolutely correct. It's perfect." He suddenly turned around and shouted, "Who did this? Don't lie. Which one of you has the audacity to solve my 15 years of hard work in one night?" There was silence in the class. Vikram said, "Sir, we swear. When we left yesterday evening, the board was empty. The class was closed at night." The professor held his head. Someone came. Someone with a mind like Einstein's. "Look at this handwriting. It's not the handwriting of a trained student. It's the handwriting of a free hand." He immediately called the principal and security. The CCTV footage was checked. On the black and white screen, at 3:30 in the morning, a small shadow is seen jumping through the window. Clothes torn, hair disheveled. The boy goes to the board and starts writing like a madman. The principal zoomed in on the footage. "Hey, it's that ragpicker boy who was standing at the gate yesterday." The principal said, making a face, "Guard, go and catch him. He must have come to steal and ruined the board." "Wait," Professor Digvijay said loudly, "if anyone calls him a thief, they'll be in trouble. He hasn't stolen anything. He has given the school and me a new direction. Bring him to me with respect." After a while, 2 guards brought Suraj to the staff room. Suraj was terribly frightened. He thought he would be handed over to the police for sneaking in. His clothes were dirty. His body smelled. The other teachers sitting in the staff room covered their noses with handkerchiefs. But Professor Digvijay got up from his chair and went straight to Suraj. Suraj folded his hands. "Sir, please forgive. Sir, please forgive me. I didn't steal anything. That question was just bothering me. I thought I could fix it. I even put the chalk back, sir. Please don't hit me." Tears welled up in his eyes. Tears of poverty and helplessness. Tears came to Professor Digvijay's eyes too. He took Suraj's dirty hands in his own. Those hands that had probably never been washed with soap. Today, a professor was kissing them. "Son, you didn't steal anything, rather, you gave me what I had been searching for my whole life." The professor asked, "Who taught you all this? Don't you go to school?" Suraj lowered his head. "Sir, there was no money for school. I used to find old books in the garbage. I would sit and read at the junk dealer's shop. People say I'm crazy because I keep writing numbers on the walls. I thought I was doing something wrong." The professor held his chin and lifted his face. "You're not crazy, Suraj, you're a genius. You are a diamond that the world threw away, mistaking it for mud." The professor took him to the classroom. The same classroom where the rich children were sitting. Suraj stopped at the door. "Come inside," the professor said. As soon as Suraj entered, the children started laughing. "Hey, it's the garbage boy. He smells so bad." The professor slammed the duster down. "Silence. Keep your mouths shut. If there is anyone richest in this room today, it is this boy. You all have money. But he has a wealth that cannot be shared." The professor handed the chalk to Suraj. "Suraj, can you explain to them how you did that last step?" Suraj held the chalk with trembling hands. At first, he was scared, but as soon as he started writing on the blackboard, his fear vanished. He began to explain. There was confidence in his voice. He explained how he had solved the problem by combining wind speed and time. When he finished speaking, there was a pin-drop silence in the classroom. The children who had been looking at him with disdain now had respect and astonishment in their eyes. Professor Digvijay took off his gold watch and fastened it onto Suraj's wrist. The watch was too big for Suraj's thin arm, but its brilliance was nothing compared to Suraj's promising future. The professor said, "From today, you will not pick up garbage. From today, you will pick up a pen. Your education, your food, your stay here is all my responsibility. Let's see who dares to stop you." Suraj burst into tears. He fell at the professor's feet. "Sir, just let me study. I don't feel hungry. I just want to solve the problems." The professor lifted him up and hugged him. That day, in that school smelling of expensive perfume, a boy smelling of sweat and garbage taught everyone a lesson in humanity. After school, Suraj went outside. He picked up his old, dirty sack. He looked at it once and then threw it into the dustbin. It wasn't just a sack. It was his old life that he was leaving behind forever. He looked up at the sky. The sun was shining, just like his name. Friends, this story tells us that talent is not a slave to palaces. It can be born even in huts. There are countless Surajas in our country who are wasting their childhood and their talent every day in garbage dumps. What is needed is a Professor Digvijay, who can recognize and polish that diamond. If you see such a child around you, don't look at him with disdain. Perhaps a dream is also blossoming in his eyes. Being poor is not a sin. But losing a talented child because of poverty is the greatest sin of society. How did you like this story? Have you ever seen such a hidden talent? Do tell us in the comments. And if this story brought tears to your eyes, then please like and share it. Remember, The truly rich are not those who have money. The truly rich are those who have knowledge. Jai Hind.